You're listening to the A Scully Cast, brought to you by www.ascully.com. And here are your hosts, A Scully and Sid Talk. Name the tune.
Theme to Westworld?
Correct.
No, the theme to Westworld's much better.
I couldn't hum the theme to Westworld. I can't think of it.
Oh, I love that song. I love that song.
Ding, ding,
Play it at the
ding.
end. That's not the before the after the show discussion. That's close. That's close. The before the after the show discussion today is all about the audio because this coming weekend, I'll be taking my first wedding photos at a real wedding for my best friend's daughter. No pressure.
My best friend's wedding.
My best friend's daughter's wedding. I have worked.
Sequel?
Basically, I have worked on this project since February. January, she asked me. February, I bought the first camera. I now have 2 Nikon DSLRs. I have bought a sound recorder. I have an action
Lights.
camera. I have lights. I have flashes. I have flash remote controls. I have camera remotes. I have cables galore. I have batteries.
Have LCD monitor that goes on top of a camera.
I do. I mean, I've got my own mini traveling studio, and I do think I can get it all in the suitcase, except for the light stands and the tripod, but whatever. So that's what we were discussing before, the audio, recording the audio on this little Tascam thingy. So if Tascam's listening and they want to give me some free audio equipment for future weddings, because I'm sure I'll be great at it for the wedding video, that would be awesome. But that was really the whole discussion, so I doubt if it's that interesting.
I'm interested.
I know you are. You'll be my sound man after I get home with all the footage. And then we'll be like, it sucks. Oh my God. Let's do it again. Do it over.
All right, so this is After the Show. We are a movie review podcast, and we review a movie every week. And this is episode number 548 for the weekend of Saturday, September the 15th. That's right. The movie we're looking at this week is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. It's a 2018 movie. Releases on Blu-ray and 4K from Universal on September the 18th, so about a week away. It's a bit of an early review. It's PG-13, and our friends at Universal sent us a copy for review. Sid Talk, give us the synopsis of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
No. It's, people and dinosaurs. I mean, come on. People remade dinosaurs. Dinosaurs eat people.
Nice.
Pretty basic. I mean, let's be honest. And it's about, there's some greed, and there's some,
It's the Jurassic Park formula.
Yeah. Genetic modifications and cloning. Let's just throw that in there.
Yes. Spoilers. So, there will be spoilers if you've not seen this movie.
I don't feel like you can spoil these movies unless you're spoiling the big Marvel ending, because then you'd be like, I'm just telling you now. Spoiler.
Yeah, but there could be some maybe you don't want this.
I mean, if Star-Lord dies, no, never. In this movie.
Yep. Gamora dies in this movie. No.
Spider-Man dies in this movie.
We're crossing the streams. You can't cross the streams. So, go away, come back. If you don't care, listen. And
who doesn't care?
So, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. We actually reviewed Jurassic World, the first in this trilogy, a couple of years ago when it came out. And Sid Talk couldn't remember a thing about it.
No.
And personally, I remember all of it, but I had a lot of I had problems with it. And my issues with Jurassic World was I have always wanted to see a fully functional Jurassic Park, and then the dinosaurs go apeshit and kill all the customers. And you got to see it, kind of. It wasn't what I expected. So I was a little bit disappointed with Jurassic World, but it was fun.
It's fun to see all those people get eaten.
Yeah,
who just came for a happy vacation.
Yeah. I mean,
you're dark.
Let's face it, that's what we want to see about Jurassic. We want to see Jurassic Park go wrong, and we want to see it happen, right? We don't want to be told about it went wrong and then see the aftermath. want to see the part.
I see what you're saying.
And you kind of saw it, but not enough for me, because it was about a 10-minute sequence. So that happened. And I kind of liked it, and you forgot all about it, pretty much.
I did, yeah.
So that's how good it was for you. So Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I'm a fan of the original Jurassic Park movies. Not all of them. The first one is, I think, a classic. Fantastic. The second one is less so, but still good. And the third one, I don't like that third one at all. I don't know about you. It's
with Ted Leone?
Yeah. That third one just felt like we're making...
I like the concept because now you're back at the park when it is falling apart, like really hardcore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's pretty rotten. I like that. I like things that are like years later, like go back 100 years later.
Right.
To like completely abandoned and see how it's all done its thing. But we haven't had that yet.
And as far as Jurassic World, I'm kind of okay on it, but it's not the originals, So this one, I have no hope. I was like, it's just going to be like that last one we saw. And in a year, when we're talking about the next one, you won't remember it, and I'll remember some of it, right? So,
thanks for your faith in my memory. Well, I'll remember less. I won't even remember that we ever watched it.
So I'm pleasantly surprised by this one because I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. And again, it's not perfect, but as far as like a summer blockbuster movie goes, I said to you, it's interesting the structure of this movie because the movie starts and it almost immediately turns into a giant CGI action movie, right? I mean, immediately.
Yeah, they cram a lot into that first part, a lot.
And I looked at my watch. I don't have a watch, so I use my tablet. Because
It's the 21st century?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was 40 minutes. The first 40 minutes of this movie are just pure action, old school Jurassic Park, but with crazy CG and, hundreds of dinosaurs and a volcano and all kinds. It's crazy.
That's all in 20 minutes.
40 minutes.
40 minutes, okay.
Yeah, the first 40 minutes. And then it cuts to a black screen, and then we get the second half, just over the second half of the movie. Now, I said to you, when it went to a black screen, I said to you, I feel like I got my money's worth just watching that. That was a giant Jurassic Park movie. I'm satisfied. And then it goes into the second half, which it almost feels like a different movie, like a secondary movie. Do you get what I'm saying?
Kind of.
It moves to a different location, first off.
I didn't feel like it the way you did.
No. And I didn't like the second half as much. I wish it was all like the first half. Because the second half kind of delves into the story a little bit. And it's the same thing as always, isn't it? I kind of like the concept of them selling the dinosaurs. Have you ever seen the movie Taken, where they have
that one?
It's like Dinosaur Taken, like the sex trafficking thing at the end of Taken, where they bring the girls into the middle of the room.
Really? You feel like this is like that?
Yeah, it's just like it.
I see.
So in Taken,
it's funny how your mind works, but I get what you're saying.
They bring girls into the middle of the room, and like weird guys bid on these girls, like to buy them into the sex trafficking trade. Well, in Jurassic World, they bring dinosaurs into the middle of the room, and then the people.
He did say it's dinosaur trafficking.
Yeah, so I like the concept of that, and I really like that scene in the big room where they were wheeling the dinosaurs in, and dinosaurs were going apeshit, and the crowd were like bidding. $1 million. I also thought $1 million seems a bit low. These are like the only dinosaurs in existence. Wouldn't they be like $100 million for a dinosaur?
Well, I mean, they gotta have money. They gotta have enough money to pay for it. So you are bad. You'd be the bad guy in this movie.
I was thinking Dr. Evil at the back. Well, $1 million, with his finger up. But it seemed low, the price. But I did enjoy the concept of that. But the second half of the movie takes place in this mansion, and it feels like it almost starts to feel like a stage play. Like it's
a little bit.
It goes smaller. The movie just turns into this.
It goes back to the original when you're inside that place with the kitchen and all that stuff. Yeah.
So that it kind of lost its bigness. Like it felt epic at the beginning, and then all of a sudden it didn't. Now, I thought, so we're going into the story of this, and it's, it's espionage and all that sort of stuff, people with secrets and, I don't want to spoil too much, but there's stuff going on around this house.
Surprisingly, he loves spoiling shit.
Yeah, the stuff that's going around this house is like, it means it's important in the Jurassic Park overview. Like, there's stuff that's happened from the original all the way up to this. And you're finding about it slowly. Yeah. And it was less interesting to me than the island. I was like, oh, we don't need all these little secrets to be like leaked out to us. The guy holding the book and, who's the mother? That kind of thing. I don't need all that. Yeah. I just want to see some dinosaurs like attacking people. And then pleasantly surprised, the last 30 minutes ends up like the original Jurassic Park. Dinosaurs.
Action.
Yeah, lots of action. And, they climb up on a roof and they fight some dinosaurs. And it's all pretty cool again. But there was a bit of a saggy bit in the middle where I was like, oh, this is getting a bit too bogged down with this story that is really uncomplicated anyway. There's not really much, like you said at the beginning.
Yeah, it's dinosaurs eating people. It's really, really simple.
And the kind of tension they try and create with the story thing, with the baddie and all that kind of stuff, it's just all old school, there's the baddie.
It's Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And I said, as soon as you see the guy, and did you look up who that guy is? I bet he's puts the lotion in the basket.
No, I didn't. You mean, I called him Hugh Hefner. Commando Hugh Hefner.
But it wasn't. It was Buffalo Bill. I'm telling you. I think so.
No, it don't look anything like him to me.
Well, I'll find out.
I didn't realize he was...
I'll be on the hunt. What's his real name?
I have no idea. I don't even have him down on the thing.
You aren't... Oh my God. You're a movie person. I don't know that.
So it all started to fall into place towards the end. And obviously, like, it's a trilogy. There's another one coming. And they really, don't you think they set the next one up really cool? Like, you want to go and see the next one at the end of this?
Yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah, it's if you've been following these two movies and the end of this one doesn't make you want to go and pay for the ticket for the next one, there's something wrong, because it really does. I even said to you, oh, now that's the movie I want to see. That one, the third one, is the movie I want to see, because they're obviously building. It starts with one thing, it gets a bit bigger, and then it's going to be huge for the next one. So I was surprised, and I liked it better than Jurassic World. I thought the humor was good. What do you think about the humor? Like, because it does have...
I mean, the humor, I think, comes from how Star-Lord acts.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah, I don't think humor is not in the dialogue, really. It's more about how they deliver it, and it was fine. It wasn't too much. It was a little bit like, lots of people are going to die, so why are we still being funny all the time? I have that disease where I'm like reminded constantly that this is going to be like a horrible thing for humanity, so let's yuck it up. I don't have that. So.
But I also mentioned to you that this film, from the beginning, feels like an old school George Lucas movie. And, like, it really does, like...
Yeah, it definitely has the pacing and the, like, really...
The kind of old-school dialogue between people.
Yeah.
It's not... People speak to each other in very, like, they say... They don't go overboard with what they're saying. They say just enough to make the plot convey. And then they move on, like...
We move on to dinosaurs eating people.
Yeah, but that whole beginning part where they're getting to... Where you meet her at work, and then she goes to find him, and then they get on the plane. All that part there, it reminded me of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, let's address this, though, real quick. I fucking hated that first part, because it's like, let's introduce the most obnoxious, expendable little cast of... She's the expert on the animals. She's a paleo ventriloquist? No.
Yes.
Veterinarian. And he's like the IT guy. And they're so fucking annoying. They're like the most obnoxious characters that in the beginning of a horror movie, you're like, please stab them first.
Let me throw in something here. Do you remember the movie Rampage, or did you forget already?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. But at least these guys hung around throughout the whole...
Yeah.
That one... they didn't kill them.
I was thinking when I was watching it? I was thinking, in Rampage, I just explained, there's two characters at the beginning who They're kind of these laboratory people who are, youngsters who are clever. And you're like, oh, well, these are going to be the Rock's counterparts in this movie. And then you don't see them again.
Nope, they just disappeared. And they were obnoxious, and I hated them.
Yeah.
And the same as in this one.
And when it introduced both of them in this movie, I was like, are they the same actors as was in Rampage? They just seem the same. Like, it's like a stereotype. Millennial, I don't know.
Yeah.
They both...
Smart ass, and one's too chicken shit, and one's trying to be tough. And it's like these very two-dimensional, which is, you got to be brief, I guess, but ugh.
Yeah. Now, did you grow to love them better?
No. Mm-mm. I wouldn't have had a problem if one of them got chomped.
No.
No.
But I do agree with you. That scene where you see Claire in her workplace I was like, oh, really? What is this movie?
Yeah.
Like, it didn't even need that scene. I would have rather they just cut straight to her going to find him. And, he's building his house. A question I have about this movie. Claire had a nephew and niece in the first movie. She was looking after them in the park. Where did they go?
Well, they were just visiting, and they were traumatized. Maybe they got eaten.
Are they in a mental institution?
It's 3 years later. Maybe they just aren't interested.
In the third movie, they're going to turn up as adults, right? Probably.
Maybe.
So, yeah, I was wondering about them I was thinking, well, Claire's going to mention them at some point, isn't she? She's going to say something, but nope, she never did. So, anything we've missed from the plot of the movie? Anything you love specifically? What about the CGI? Did you like it?
It was fine. I said the dinosaurs look better and better all the time, but at some point, your brain, because I've never seen one, I'm okay with them the way they are. There were a couple of ragdoll-y moments, but I can accept that.
The sequence on the island at the beginning when you see Chris Pratt come running, he's running, and they're all running after him, and then they're all running. Did you think that looked kind of like
the volcano again? Well, you asked me for my favorite part. Least parts were those people and the volcano. The idea that a volcano is going to kill a whole island.
Yeah.
I'm not a geologist, but I don't think that's accurate unless the island was so tiny, and it wasn't. It was humongous.
But I said to you, visually, amazing. It just looks cool, a volcano, right?
It did, yeah.
Yeah. The thing I had a problem with in that whole sequence, and I love the sequence, I loved how when he started to run, and then they all started to run, and then they got in the ball, and then they're driving the ball, and then the dinosaurs are all coming, and then they drive the ball off the cliff into the water, and then the camera stays with it like it's still one shot. And then you see them in the ball, and then there's the whole escape sequence in the ball. I really like that, but I had a problem with it again. This is nitpicking, but those balls are like super secure. Remember in the first one they said like you're all right, even if one of those balls breaks down, a dinosaur can't break it. Well, the ball, they get in the ball and they're fine, but then Chris Pratt opens the ball with a knife, like a Swiss Army knife. He just breaks the ball. So
don't talk about the flaws.
You know what I'm saying now?
FYI, she puts lotion in the bed, puts lotion in the basket. That's the guy.
How is it?
Ted Levine.
So the ball thing.
When we get to the cast, just
in the first movie, they did say that ball. They made a point that is the thing. If you're in the ball and you're a visitor to the park, there is no danger to you ever. Not even from the T-Rex, because they can't do anything.
But some guy with a knife, he can get right in.
Yeah.
Underwater, while everyone's all stressed out and a volcano's burning holes in it.
I mean, he did shoot it twice.
And a volcano.
But yeah, I really like that sequence. I even like the part where when they drive in the truck up to the boat and they jump onto the boat. That's pretty cool, So it is action-packed. I got to give it that.
Absolutely.
It's definitely a good time at the movies. One thing I felt shortchanged on a little bit was the score. The Jurassic Park score that I sang very nicely for you all at the beginning, it's only used in the end credits. Like, during the movie, it kind of almost goes into it, but never does. Like, because the movie's darker than... It never does the happy... Da-da-da-da. It kind of plays a little bit of it, then goes into some darker sounding music. So I was always like, oh, they're going to play the Jurassic music? Oh, no, they don't. So they play it in the end credits. But what's a Jurassic Park or World movie without that music? What do you... let's move on to the cast, because I've got some things to say about the cast. Chris Pratt plays Owen Grady. How do you feel about Chris Pratt as a leading man?
I like him, but I'm also neutral.
Do you feel like he's the same, isn't he?
Yes.
Star-Lord is this guy, and
Correct.
vice versa, right?
Absolutely, 100%. He is the same cheeky action hero man.
Yeah.
And there's no depth at all. I mean, that's fine. Again, it's a big action movie. We don't need a deep guy, but
I think there's depth to Guardians of the Galaxy because they do delve into him a little bit. In that.
True.
But in this, the writing doesn't really give us anything, really, apart from he's kind of done with dinosauring and he just wants to build a house and live in peace. And that's all we really get, right? Near the beginning. And then the rest of it, he's just action hero again. But I do find him charming and I do find him funny. There are some funny lines between him and Claire that I thought were genuinely funny. Bryce Dallas Howard plays Claire Dearing. What do you think of Bryce?
I'm kind of... I feel like sometimes she's a little too stagey for me.
She is very stagey.
And she brings some affectations of what you would learn as a trained child actor person. Ironic, I know.
She does a lot of that gasping and looking at the camera.
And just a little bit theatrical. Maybe she is a stage person and that carries on a little bit. But in between those times, I like her a lot.
Yeah. She is. We don't see her in a lot of things, really. But I would recommend to you that Netflix Black Mirror episode. Mm-hmm. She was excellent in that.
Yeah, very good.
I think that's the best thing
But
I've seen.
that put to use her sort of like, because it was a fake kind of a world and a very...
Like a prissy kind of...
Yeah, but it was made to be like you are always acting and performing. And so that kind of fit her style.
Yeah. So I do like her, but it's very specific what she does. It's not super dramatic, but it's more... It's like a damsel in distress a little bit a lot of the time.
Yeah.
From the old type of movies.
There's not a lot of toughness or, strength that comes through to me.
Now, when we mentioned these two characters we didn't like earlier, they're played by Justice Smith, he plays Franklin, and Daniela Pineda plays Zia. Right? Mm-hmm. The girl I kind of liked more because she actually... Well, they did it with both of them, really. Like, it's just so, like... the kid's a hacker.
Yeah. He's not a hacker. He's an IT guy.
Yeah, but I mean, he gets into the doors and he plugs his laptop
Well,
into
remember,
the
they've
thing.
been studying it as well. That's why I could kind of get over it, because they are activists to keep the dinosaurs alive. See, we start with a scene where Jeff Goldblum is going to the Senate or whatever to get funding to put toward doing something to remove the animals from this island that's about to blow up, and then to decide, let them go extinct again or not. Now, we have then in society whole groups of people, of course, activists, animal rights people. We see little tiny news clips of everyone, and now this group that she comes into, they're trying to save them. So one is a I keep wanting to say ventriloquist. That's not...
You can call him that.
Paleo veterinarian. And she's like, yeah, that's a real thing. Okay, whatever. And then the IT guy who's part of the cause. So basically, they've been studying everything for 3 years. So I gave him a pass on being able to understand how to get into the place, understand the systems. I gave him that one little thing.
Yeah. But I started to like her a bit better when she was looking after the dinosaur in the back of the truck.
Yeah.
I felt the compassion and all that, so...
But she just put on that tough stuff just a little too much for me.
It was very written. Both of them were very, plot driven. Like, we just need these two characters to make the plot interesting. And it's something I don't ever think you need those characters. They're just, I wouldn't write those characters into my movie. It would just be the two leads.
Oh, really? Have you ever written a movie?
No, but if I was writing a movie, I would not put the hacker kid and the girl, to have, it's almost like they want to have some actors of that age to appeal to somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's why they're written in there. You can kind of see the hole where they put them in. So, sorry, you two. Rafe Spall plays Eli Mills, and you could say he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
I only realised today that Rafe Spall was Timothy Spall's son. I had no idea, and I was looking at Rafe Spall, and I was like, who is that guy? And then I looked, it's like,
Do Americans know who he is?
Timothy Spall. Auf Wiedersehen,
I thought it was Timothy
Harry
Spaulding.
Potter.
Spaulding.
No, Spall.
Okay.
Spallo. Spalding's like some basketball.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, Timothy Spall is, you'll have seen him in many things, including Harry Potter. And what did you mention earlier? That
Last Samurai.
The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, yeah. But Ray Spall, who is his son, I actually liked him because he played, this really stereotypical villain that these movies actually have to
Same as the brother in that thing we just watched recently.
Yeah.
King Kong?
Yeah.
No, Rampage, the one you mentioned.
Rampage, yes. It's so stereotypical, and it's like cardboard cutout of a baddie. There's not really much to him at all. He wears a suit, and he is bad. But I think he did it well, and what happened to him I really liked. You know what I'm saying?
Well, nah.
Yeah. Toby Jones plays Mr. Eversole. Toby Jones will be forever cast as a bad guy, won't he? Because he's just got that, Mr. Wayward Pines.
He was not bad in something we watched. And in fact, in Wayward Pines, he had good intentions to start with.
Ultimately, it was not.
Yeah.
And also in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he wasn't very good at all.
I didn't watch that one, so we're going to...
like a Nazi.
Spoiler.
But that guy has got a certain look about him that makes you think bad guy. And in this, pretty much a bad guy, right?
Yeah. Well, greed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people would say, he's just a capitalist.
Corporate.
He just is a capitalist. Give him a break. Wants to wreak havoc on the world. Never mind.
Now, they did make a big deal with this movie about saying that Jeff Goldblum will be back in Jurassic Park, 25 years later, and he's going to be a big deal. He's going to be in the movie. And he is in the movie. He opens the movie and he ends the movie. But I would say it's 3 minutes of screen time, right? If that. He does give a good speech, and he does get to say welcome to Jurassic World, which does harken back to the original. I liked that. But blink and you miss him, right?
And it was really unimportant.
He also said...
Too dramatic.
Yeah, in an interview I just read with him, he said they basically just wrote some Jeff Goldblum dialogue, and I just said it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And he didn't seem like super enthusiastic about it. He's just like, yep, I delivered a Jeff Goldblum for them, and that's what I did. And finally, B.D. Wong, who's been in a few of the Jurassic Park movies.
I thought so. I thought he's always been the guy, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's always been that guy. Dr. Wu.
That guy.
Yeah, he was in the originals, and he was in the last Jurassic World. What do you think of Dr. Wu?
Neutral.
Again, very stereotypical, very cardboard cutout. They all are, right? It's that's how these movies are.
Shall we go back to my earlier point? Because it's just dinosaurs eating and chasing people.
Yeah, well, the Jurassic World, Jurassic Park franchise does harken back to like movies from the 50s with monsters, which back then were men dressed as dinosaurs running about. It's based on that stuff, just modern and technological version of that. So that's why the characters are wrote that way, I think, and it works in that Indiana Jones kind of way. It's really basic. You're going to have some action. It'll be funny sometimes.
I feel like I need to watch 2 episodes of Ozark now to kind of up my, brain level a little bit more.
Yeah, like the drama. Because there's not much drama here, it's action. And if you...
Which is fun.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't feel like I was shortchanged. I feel like I saw a really cool action movie. It was high budget. The stakes were high. The ending was not typical. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been, I'm not saying this is the Empire Strikes Back of the Jurassic World, but it kind of is. So, I enjoyed it overall. Directed by J.A. Bayona. Now, I didn't know this director at all, but he made a movie called A Monster Calls. We saw the trailer for it. We didn't see the movie. Do you remember? Like a trailer about a monster, and...
No.
It was like giant, and it comes into a house, and there's a kid, but we didn't watch the movie. We just saw the trailer. It kind of like Where the Wild Things Are, it seemed like, but with a big like monster that looked like a tree. I didn't see the movie, so I can't comment. But J.A. Bayona. This Colin Trevorrow directed the first one, but this one didn't fit. It felt different to it not in the way it looks, in the way it was written. This one felt like an old George Lucas movie. That
it really did, yeah.
That first one didn't. It felt more modern and, typical. But this one, it felt like they were
pulled it back a bit.
Yeah. And I don't think the director's responsible. I mean, the way it looks, they both kind of look the same, which is good because don't want a trilogy of films to all be a totally different thing. It needs to continue. But, I can't really comment on the director.
I agree.
It's one of those movies where it doesn't matter who directed it. I mean, that's dismissive, I guess.
Very dismissive.
All right, so...
but understandable.
There are a lot of extras on this disc. There's Chris Pratt's Jurassic Journals, and there's lots of stuff where Chris Pratt takes you around the set.
See, that's who he is.
Yes.
And then these movies are sort of like just part of his personality.
Yeah, because he came from like Parks and Recreation on TV, which is like it's like The Office, but a different scenario. So that's where he's from. Like he's a comedian.
You mean it's a documentary in an office?
It's a documentary in a Parks and Rec office, yes.
Yeah, so it's just like The Office.
But, when The Office finished, Parks and Recreation started, it was pretty much the thing that took over from it.
We're being very dismissive again because we don't watch it. No. So someone might be like, that's my favorite show ever.
Yeah, on our like antenna TV, I've seen it on there a few times, and I've seen Chris Pratt being funny on it. So there are extras.
High praise indeed.
There are Rooftop Showdown, Monster in the Mansion, Birth of the Indoraptor, Kingdom Evolves, On Set with Chris and Bryce, Start the Bidding, Death by Dino, Malcolm's Return, and much more. There's a lot on there. If you're a fan, there's no commentary with this director, which is disappointing, but Sid Talk doesn't care about that.
No.
So, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I really had a good time with it. It's definitely better than the original one from a couple of years ago. I feel like the third one will be the one that tops it because they do set it up to be an awesome movie, that third one. Maybe they'll mess it up and it'll all just take place in one house. If they do that for the third movie, then that's a mistake, right? Because they open up
in somebody's yard.
Yeah, at the end of the movie, they're like, "Hey, look, the whole world." Then if it all takes place in like a house in LA, it'd be like, "Oh, come on."
Well, they were showed us Vegas, so I feel like we're going to Vegas.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Now it would be cool to see Vegas get ruined by dinosaurs, so I enjoy that.
I like Vegas. Don't knock Vegas.
Well, I'm not saying. I'm just in general. It looks cool. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it'd be cool to watch all the cool things fall over.
Okay, don't be knocking Vegas.
All right, so thanks to Universal for sending us the review disc. Next week's review is a movie. I've never heard of this one. I've not heard much about it. It's called Solo: A Star Wars Story. Know nothing about it. Star Wars, something to do with Star Wars. We'll watch that next week. Sid Talk's a big fan, I think.
Of Solo?
Of Star Wars.
Yes. Well, in this house, there's two things. There's Star Wars, which is cute, and then there's Star Trek, which is superior.
I think there's more Star Wars things.
Oh, yeah, let's slip that one right by you.
Yeah,
but in this house, in this marriage, Star Trek just edges it out just a bit.
It's not true.
Even if we could just add up the hours of Star Trek available, then you kick your ass right there.
Probably.
Unless you count all the books, which we don't.
But don't forget, there's going to be a Star Wars TV show soon, and then maybe we'll catch up.
Well, it'll take you 30 years, but okay. We'll see in 30 years.
Talking of Star Trek, Mr. Picard is coming back in his own show.
In a Star Trek show?
Yep.
Fantastic.
It's all about him.
I mean, I don't know if that's fantastic.
It's coming.
We'll see.
He announced it.
I'm not that kind of fan where I just am like blinded by whatever you're going to give me, I'll take it. I'm not like that. I am more, I like it for what it is and I'll just take it. I'm happy if it's done and I'll just rewatch everything that's out there, but I don't crave more. I
watched the Comic-Con panel thing and Patrick Stewart comes out to the mic and he stands there and he says, Jean-Luc Picard will be back in his own Star Trek TV show. And everybody's they're just flipping out like, The whole audience, I think it lasted for about 3 minutes, them just yelling at him like, ah!
I mean, Jean-Luc Picard, man.
I think he is...
Although, I like Janeway, even though I don't know if I like Janeway the actress lady as much.
Right.
But I love Janeway the character.
Yeah,
she's my... Well, I like Enterprise guy, too.
I think Jean-Luc is a favourite, though, isn't he? A fan favourite, for sure.
Well, he's Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus.
And who'd have thought he would be back in a Star Trek show? I thought that was over and done with a long time ago. But hey, it's coming. So next week, Solo, a Star Wars story. Movie recommendations, I am going with Jurassic Park, the original. It is the best still. And Kong Skull Island, which I really enjoyed from last year. Another big monster movie. And I really liked the way that one was done. It was like a Vietnam movie. Almost, the way they kind of portrayed it. But with the biggest King Kong you've ever seen running about this island. So the reason I recommend that is the island sequences in this reminded me of it. You know, just pure CG craziness. So that's it. Kong Skull Island and Jurassic Park. Yours are?
Mine are a little off the wall here. But I'm trying to think of things that I've seen in the past that are kind of obscure that I don't fully remember, but being like, whoa, that was cool. Bubba Hotep. It's the top of that list for some reason.
It's
your guy. It's your Bruce
Campbell.
Bruce Campbell guy. And the new show that I just finished watching, Disenchantment from Netflix.
Yeah.
By Matt Groening. Yeah, whatever. The Simpsons guy. And Futurama. And what happened to me last week? One day I woke up, I was sick. I was sick, hot, cold, wanted to throw up, couldn't move off the couch. It was that kind of day where I'm wrapped in a blanket, burning hot, freezing cold. You brought me water, and I was like, oh, that's going to make me throw up. And then I'm like, I just want a peach to eat. I don't even want a hot tea. I felt shitty. So I thought, I could use up some Star Trek. I could use up some Cheers. I've got all of Cheers. But then I was like, well, Disenchantment's right there. It's right there. It's all there to watch. Got Netflix, and I watched it all, and it was really funny. I really enjoyed it.
Would you watch another season of it?
I would, yeah. I'd be interested to see what happens.
I believe he's doing one, so lucky for you.
Yeah. Well, I have to get sick. Because you know what? Things are different when you're sick. That's just the truth.
On the subject of Netflix, how good is Ozark?
12 out of 10?
It's very, very good, right?
Yeah.
We watched the first season of Ozark last year when it came out, and we're watching the new season, and holy crap, is that a good show. It's like riveting or something, and each episode lasts an hour, and when it's over, I feel like it was about 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Like, it
yeah, you're just like, oh.
Yeah, like it just flies by. It's so, there's never a dull moment. There's always something like really exciting happening. It's, you could say it's similar to Breaking Bad because it kind of is, but
I disagree.
I think Jason Bateman, who you normally associate with comedy or like sarcastic comedy stuff, he's like super dark in this. He's not really funny at all, is he? Like he's never really been funny.
No, he's stressed.
He's very stressed.
He's highly stressed out, and he's like it's like on a slow burn. I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, like he doesn't ever really snap, but I feel like he might at some point. But
that would be the best.
He's just very controlled and very. It's dark. This show is dark to look at because they film it very dark, and it's also so dark. The subject matter is insane. Like it gets really crazy. This second season even more so than the first one. So I recommend Ozark.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You added one there.
Yeah. So Ace Scully stuff. I've been playing a game this week. It's called Spider-Man.
Little tiny movie or little tiny game.
Yeah, Marvel Spider-Man. You might have heard of it. It's on the PlayStation 4. It's an exclusive to the PlayStation 4. And I have played all of the Spider-Man games. As you know, you've seen me play Spider-Man games. I can honestly say this is the best Spider-Man game they have ever made.
Definitively.
Yeah, I've not played it all yet, but from what I've played, maybe 10 hours, it is the best Spider-Man game I've ever played because they kind of came at it in a different way. That it's not the origin story of Spider-Man. We don't need that again. We all know what happened. You got bit by a spider, blah, 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 right? He's been Spider-Man.
It's very presumptuous of you, but okay.
Well, he's been Spider-Man for a few years, maybe 5 years. And he's had his relationship with MJ and they've split up.
Thank God.
And it's Peter. He's left college. He's got his degree and he is working for Dr. Octavia, who you might know turns into a baddie eventually. But he's a good guy at this point, and he's working for him in his laboratory. And he's also being Spider-Man, like, on the off time. So
he can't help himself.
He's also in, like, it delves into Peter Parker's daily life quite a bit. And there are scenes where you're just Peter Parker, and you've not got the powers, and you're wandering around, and you're talking, you're going to visit Aunt May because you've not seen her for a while, and you go on a dinner date with MJ to try and kind of get your relationship back. And he's also kind of irresponsible a little bit, Peter. He's not paid his rent, and, there's an eviction on the horizon. So I don't think any other Spider-Man game has, like, covered that. They're, like, two-dimensional generally. It's Spider-Man, Spider-Man, there he is in his suit, fight all the baddies. This is like, no, we're taking this more like Marvel would do with the movie or the Netflix show. And we're actually giving you like a really detailed story that's in between all the boss missions and stuff, You do fight. The opening sequence, you actually fight the Kingpin, Mr. Fisk. So there are callbacks to the movies. The Avengers Tower is in the New York that they built. I have found Jessica Jones' office. I found the Wakandan embassy. If you're a Marvel fan, as you're going around, it's like, oh, wow, I wonder if that's there. And it is there. It's all built in. There's a cool cameo by Mr. Stan Lee, as they would do in all the movies. Now they're doing them in the video games. And it just plays really well. The swinging mechanic is really cool when you're swinging through the city. There's collectibles to find everywhere. Like, Peter's left a bunch of backpacks webbed up all over the city. Like, he did it because he had nowhere to keep all this stuff. So he webbed it to, like, really high places in the city. And when you go and collect all that, it's like secret stuff. And it tells you the story of what he's been up to. Because he'll be like, well, here's the horn from Rhino. Remember when I fought Rhino? Like, I just kept his horn as a souvenir, and I used it to analyze what his horn was made of. So it all gives you this backstory, and it makes the game more cool to play because it's not just, hey, here's level 1, you fight, the Kingpin. Here's level 2, you fight the Green Goblin. It's not like that. It's like you're actually playing through Peter's life. So it's Spider-Man. It is so big, this game, Spider-Man. I don't think Sony knew exactly what they had. But God of War that came out earlier this year, Sid Talk?
Which was that little one, yeah.
Yeah, which was awesome, right? And it sold it's a brilliant video game, that. And it sold so many copies. Sony were just like, wow, we didn't think God of War would sell this many. It's crazy. Spider-Man beat what that sold in the first day. So the power of Marvel and the power of Sony getting a exclusive game for their console, it must just be selling PS4s through the roof now. So, well done, Sony. You made a really awesome
Good job,
Spider-Man
massive
game.
corporation. We're very proud of you.
Marvel, Sony. Oh, I forgot to mention, it's made by Insomniac Games, which is a Sony first-party studio. They're the guys who made Infamous. And they are an awesome studio, and I'm glad. Infamous was a superhero game, but it was their own superhero. They didn't have a license. It was just a guy they made up. And whenever I played Infamous and Infamous 2, I was like, oh, I wish this was like a Marvel superhero because the game's so cool to play. It'd be cool to like have a Marvel suit. They finally got to do that. So they made Spider-Man. And I'm hoping this is the beginning of Insomniac making more Marvel games because I would like to see a game in this style with all the characters. I'd like to see Iron Man and the Hulk, and eventually it could be like an Avengers scenario where everybody's in the game. So that's Spider-Man. You need to go and buy a PS4 if you want to play it. No other way to play it. Also, the Forza Horizon 4 demo came out this morning, and I did play it on the PC, and I want to say it is awesome. Again, Forza Horizon, it's the best of the Forza series for me. This time it's in the UK. It's kind of, the whole map is like Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales, bits and pieces of all of it. And it looks beautiful. You even saw it, right, this morning? Mm-hmm. It's got the cool Forza music that you all know, like...
Immediately can tell, yeah.
Yeah, drum and bass and house music, all the latest stuff. This is just the demo. I can say it looks amazing. It runs much better than the last one did. It's like really silky smooth and no stuttering. I was impressed. And on Friday this week, which hasn't actually come yet while we're recording this podcast, the new Tomb Raider game comes out. It's a crazy week for games. Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the third in the trilogy. So we'll get to see the end of Lara's origin story. I love the Tomb Raider games. Exciting. I can't wait for it. So that's what I've been playing this week. What's for dinner, Sid Tuck?
Tonight is going to be a rerun of last night's dinner, but homemade.
Oh.
We're vegetarians, so we tell you what you eat because vegetarians don't really suffer any lack of food of any kind. Kentucky Fried Chicken is chicken. We're not vegan. We're not animal rights activists.
We don't eat
power
chicken.
to them. We don't eat chicken. We're not we don't boycott. Oh my God, that's a sore subject this week. We don't boycott like a store because they sell meat or a place. We get it. Some people do. We don't. We just don't eat the meat part anymore, or meat juices, or meat whatevers. But we're not vegan yet. I'm sure someday we might move into that realm someday.
How long?
But it's quite difficult. It's been 10 years. 2008.
We haven't had meat for 10 years. Pretty good.
Correct. And so, but Kentucky Fried Chicken has mashed potato and coleslaw and green beans and biscuits that don't have meat in them, obviously, or juices. I've looked it up. I mean, I'm pretty confident. So we had that. It was delicious. Fantastic. You had a veggie burger with yours. Tonight, I'm making homemade coleslaw. Well, not homemade. The dressing is out of a bottle. The mashed potatoes are microwave mashed potatoes. The green beans are canned green beans, and you're going to have a veggie burger.
I also said to you last night when I was eating some KFC coleslaw, I was like, I like the coleslaw you make better.
I mean, my homemade is better, but I don't really take the time to do it, so I have a bottle of it. But yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that's what's for dinner. Sidta, what is your advice?
I didn't really fill in any advice.
Colon.
It's a colon. Get your colon checked. I haven't done that yet, right? What's my advice? With this whole photography thing, learning photography, I have mentioned that to a couple people. I've gone into a couple of camera shops. Just two, I think. Total. One actual camera shop, and then when you go to the camera section of Best Buy or something and say, well, I'm just kind of learning on YouTube, and they look at you like, that's cute. Especially in the camera shop.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to a photography major guy who looked like he was about 24, really, super nerdy about it, which is awesome. But when I said, yeah, I'm just kind of learning, on my own and learning from YouTube, and it was like he was patting me on the head with his eyeballs. Sounds really gross.
Yeah, it does sound weird.
But I guess my advice is, if you want to learn something new, like a skill, I've learned a little bit about gardening in the last few years. I've learned a little bit about sewing in the last few years. I'm learning about photography now. I'm not claiming to be a photographer. I'm claiming to know more of the foundation of photography. How to use and shape light, how to use the camera settings, which I don't know if that counts as photography, but it is the tool that you use. How to understand all the art side, which I think I've got that already because I've done that my whole life, composition and, composition, how to make a nice picture, and then all the technical stuff about light. This is what I've learned a lot about, and you can just learn it. Now, I don't know if that would go across anything. I don't know if you can learn nuclear science just by picking up... Well, you go to the library and pick up books, I suppose. Because where do they learn it?
Yeah.
Right? It's repetition and being in the world of it, but you could learn anything, I think. So that's my advice. If you want to learn something, like photography, gardening, you learned how to set up Linux recently, which was you had never done it before.
I set up a whole Linux server.
And what did you use? The internet.
Yeah. I didn't really use YouTube. I used text. I just read a load of it. But yeah, I learned it within a day.
I think people lack confidence because when I say people, I'm trying to learn this, and then they'll look at a couple pictures I've taken, which are just Totally like snapshots, but with that little bit difference because my camera, the tool that I use, has a little more tricks up its sleeve. And they're like, oh my God, I could never do that. And you're like, of course you can. Here, try it. No, I could never learn that. I could never understand that. And I just think, you probably can. Why do people have that lack of confidence?
It's a good
Fear of
question.
failure? Don't be afraid of failure. Just do it. Just learn it. That's my advice.
All right, so you can catch us on ascully.com and sidtalk.com. Catch this podcast. Well, you can also catch us on Twitter and Facebook. Get this podcast on the Google Play Store, the iTunes Music Store. You can just go to ascully.com and click on the podcast, and you can subscribe there. We're also on YouTube, and we're on Amazon devices. Just say your Amazon word to wake it up, and then say, listen to After the Show movie podcast on TuneIn. It will play you the latest episode. Email feedback to me at ascully@ascully.com. Don't email SidTalk. She really would rather not be bothered with any of you. And finally, stay classy, Mr. Jurassic Park, Chris Pratt.
I was going to say, who's Mr. Jurassic Park? And
Very classy and very funny.
I'm going to say, think for yourself, or somebody will do it for you.